Hey everyone, it's Kabir here. So we have started our sessions with the Bootstrap. So we are going to cover so many things in the Bootstrap. So in last session, we saw the introduction to the Bootstrap. How can we configure a Bootstrap in our application? And we saw the official documentation of Bootstrap, what content it provides. Apart from that, we saw one more library or a framework same as Bootstrap, that is called MD Bootstrap, which is the top of your Bootstrap, right? Based on CSS, they built a Bootstrap. Now, based on Bootstrap, they built MD Bootstrap. Now, MD Bootstrap has been built by some different vendor, whereas your Bootstrap has been built by some different person, right? And we saw some of the examples. How can we create something in CSS in the same way that we wanted to create in the Bootstrap? So how easy it is and how convenient it is to develop something in a Bootstrap. So today we are going to understand the concept of cards. Now, what is a card? First of all, sometimes you get a requirement in your project where you have to display some information in the form of card. For example, so let us consider this is our web page. Fine, this is our web page. Now in this web page, sometimes we get a requirement to create a card kind of structure. Like I'm going to create one card. Okay, this is the one card. Apart from that, I may have to create one more card. Now in this card, you might display your employee details. Like if you wanted to give details about your employee, now that employee details you might uh, give in the form of card, like his image, his name, some kind of informations. Like now, if you wanted to construct such kind of card in Bootstrap, we have a component which has been provided by the Bootstrap people called card component. Now they have divided this card in three parts. The first part, they told it as a header part. So it means they have divided the card into three parts. The first part is header part, and second part we are going to call as a body part, and third part is a footer part. So this is how they have created the card. So internally they have used it as CSS, right guys? Now let us construct this card in CSS first of all. Now let us see how can we construct this kind of card in CSS. So now let's come to our VS Code. Now once I came to VS Code, now I want the skeleton of your HTML, right? So doc tab. Now we got the skeleton of our HTML file. Now I'm going to remove this meta tags. Okay, fine. Now let us consider how can we create this card. So what we are going to do, let us understand how we are going to do. So I wanted to create a card, right? So first it should be something like this. This should be card. So I will be considering this one thing as an outer div, right? Now I want a header. So for header, I'm going to create one more div, which will be the child of this outer div. Now this div is going to take three childs, and one div is going to represent your header, another div is going to represent your body, and another as a footer. So now that's the plan of us to construct this kind of card. So let's come to our VS Code. Now first I want to outer div. So outer div. Okay, I have created. Now this outer div is going to take three divs. So one first div will be your header div. Apart from that, second div will be your body div, and third div will be your footer div. So let's give a class name for all the divs. So I'm going to give class equals to card. Now you can give any name, that depends upon you. So I'm choosing to give the class name for this div as a card. Now this div will be the card header. So because this div is going to represent card header. And guys, you have to remember, whenever you're choosing some class name or some variable name or something, it should be very much similar, or it should be it should be similar to your project, right? Yeah, like if you're using some header tag and you wanted to give some ID for that, you can give header ID, but don't give for header as a footer ID, because the names are not matching, right? So you have to give relevant kind of names. So that's the point of a good developer. So this I'm going to consider as a card header. Apart from that, this div will be something like that, card body. Now guys, we are going to cover everything in depth, so you have to understand few classes will be using CSS so that you guys can understand what is the exactly difference between your CSS and Bootstrap, and by using the Bootstrap what help you are going to get and how convenient it is to write the code. Okay, now I'm going to consider this div as a card footer. Okay, fine. We have divided the card, which is the main card, as a div, and this div is going to take 3 divs. Now let's style it. So for that we required a style tag. So style. Okay, fine. Now I want to use stylings for this outer, means I wanted to construct this outer div. Okay. Now to construct this outer div, what we have to do? We have to write the stylings for this div. So how can we represent this div in the style? Using the dot card. And the persons who are very new to Bootstrap, I would recommend you guys to watch the CSS sessions plus HTML sessions as well. So all the sessions are available in the playlist. You guys can go and refer there because it's mandatory. You should have the CSS knowledge. Now I wanted to create some width, so I'll be telling width equals to something like 300 pixel, and I need height as well, right? So I will be creating height equals to something like 400 pixel. Okay, now I need some border, so border 1 pixel solid black. Now let's see how it is going to look like. So I'm gonna open in default browser. Now this is how we are able to see it, right? Now I want this to be in the middle. So for that, what we would be doing, let me try margin should be auto. Save it, refresh. Now we got this in the middle, right? Now we have created the outer part of the div. So let's give some background color as well for this div. So I'm gonna say background, and we have linear gradient, which is going to take some 45-degree. Okay, fine. I'm gonna say black, comma red, the combination of black and red color. So refresh. Now we are able to see a div, right? Now I wanted to divide this div into 3 parts. So for that we kept the 3 divs. So let's consider that div as well. So dot card body. Okay, fine. Now I wanted to construct one more div. So what can we do? Let's make give border bottom. I'm giving border bottom because I want just one line, right? We required only one line. We required this line, right? So we are going to create a div whose border will be the bottom. So border bottom will be 1 pixel solid, and let me take some color like red. Let's see how it is going to look like. Come here, refresh it. Now you are not able to see, so let me first of all comment this thing, save it, come here, refresh. Okay, fine. Now we got this border here, right? But we wanted to give some height and width, right? So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna say width should be 100%. Okay, fine. Width will be 100% of his parent. Apart from that, I want to give some height. Height will be something like 10%. So how can we divide the height for this? Let me take this as 10, this as 60, so total will be 70, and this as 30. So that's how we are going to divide. So we required the same thing for our, okay, it's a card body, right? I want it to be card header, not body. Now the same thing we required for card body as well. So I'm gonna just change the name, card body, and this time height should be 50%. So come here, let me see. Now this is how it is going to look like. So let me, okay, fine. This is how we divided the card. If it's not looking proper, let me increase the border. Let me make it as a 4, 4, and it has a 6. Now this is the card, so it's not looking, it's looking very weird. So let me keep this one. This has 1 and this one also 1. Okay, fine. Now let's give some background color as well for all. So this is going to be uncommented, just copy and let me paste everything here. So I'm going to paste here. So this time I'm going to say it will be as some pink color, and whereas for this one I will be saying instead of black, let me take orange color. Let's see how it is going to look like now. Now this is how our content is looking like, right? Now we can increase some, we shall be giving some padding as well. We got margin. Let me give some margin. Top should be something like 10 pixel. Okay, fine. Now let me refresh. Now my plan is I wanted to display image in the card body, some heading here and some content here. So how can we do? So let's come to our card body. Here I wanted to display some heading. So H3, where I'm gonna say it's a employee details, something like that. And I want content should be in the middle, right? So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna say text align in center. Fine. Now just refresh and come here. Now you are able to see something like this, right? So let me come here. I want to change color to white. Fine. Now it is taking, changing something, right? Just remove from here. Fine. Now this is employee details. Now I want it should take complete this one. So we are doing some mistakes. It should be 10 10 border. Fine. Now this should be H3. So H3 by mistake will like by default it will have some kind of stylings. That's why it is coming something like that. Now this is employee. Now I'm gonna say this height. This is the card header, width is 100. Okay, fine. It should take, or let me remove this one tag from here. Now I will be saying card header font size should be some 20 pixel. Save it. Yeah. And text align should be center. Okay, that's center. Sorry, I wanted to text align. I want to give some padding, or else we can give auto margin auto. Save it. So we required space, right? So let me give some padding equals to 10 pixel. So we got something like this. No. So I wanted to remove this padding. Come here, refresh. Now you are able to see something like a employee details. So what property we have more? Like we have line height, right? Line height should be something like 10 pixel. So it is going up. Let me make it as something like 30 pixel. Yeah, now we got employee details. Now I want here it should be image. So already I have a folder image and where it contains some images. So to display image I required a image tag. So image strc equals to something like inside images. I want to display some kind of card 5. Now let's see how it is going to look like. Now I want to adjust it. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna say width should be 100% and our height should be 100%. Save it. Now we are able to see our image as well. Now in the same way I wanted to display some content. So to display some content, so we are going to take some p and I'm gonna say lorem equals to some 10. Sorry, lorem equals to some 40. Save it and come to our, so we got something like this. Apart from that, if you wanted to give some stylings, so let me give some stylings for card footer as well. So dot card footer. So I'm gonna say text align should be left. And I need some padding. So I want some padding equals to some 5 pixel. The content is more, so let's reduce the content. Let me cut it and let me make p equals to lorem 20. Save it, come here. Now this is how we got. If I want one button here as well, we can keep one button as well, right? So to create a button, I'm gonna say okay, fine, just take one tag as button and I'm gonna say read more, something like that, and I'm gonna save it. And let me give some stylings to this button. So instead of here, how can we give stylings in internal? So just copy this one. I mean, just copy the name, come here. The button is the child, so just say button tag. Okay, fine. Now what we wanted to give a background, which should be linear gradient and 45-degree, comma something, some color like pinkish red. Fine. And the color should be white. Some padding should be 5 pixel. Save it, come here and just refresh it. We are able to see some kind of button. If you want to give more stylings, you can give something like border radius should be something like 10 pixel. Now this is what button we have created. border. Now this is the button, guys. Okay, now this is how we have created the button. So apart from this, let me give something like some blue. Yeah, now to prepare the card, we are spending so much time and we have to calculate everything. What we have to calculate? We have to calculate what should be the line height, the text should come in the center, how much part I wanted to divide. This should be okay 10% or 20%, this should be 50-60%. Like this, you have to think a lot, you have to adjust to prepare just a card. Now this is the problem that you get when you go for the CSS. Now you have to write this many lines of CSS, right? From here to here. So this is the problem that you get. Now in the same way, if you wanted to construct a card in a Bootstrap, so how can you do? So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna just copy everything and comment it. Now we are going to comment it. Okay, now let's create one more file. So doc tab. Now we got by using the Bootstrap. So first thing, whenever we are going to use the Bootstrap, first of all, we have to link the Bootstrap, right? So how can we link? So for that, we have the tag called link tab. And here we have to give the location of our Bootstrap, which is present in mdb bootstrap / inside CSS inside bootstrap.css. I wanted to provide MDN as well. So link tab. Now here I want to give the link of mdb bootstrap in the same CSS, and we have like mdb CSS. Yeah, done. Now we have given some links. Now let's see whether it is working or not. So for we are going to create one button, and I'm gonna say class equals to bg primary. Now this class is coming from your Bootstrap. So let us see whether it is working or not. Now this is the button. So let me come here. Let me give btn, save it. Now we are able to see the button, right? So our Bootstrap is linked to our HTML. Now we can use. Now if you wanted to create a card, so before that, one concept you guys have to understand. And what is that concept? Now just consider this is your web page. Okay, now in Bootstrap we can create one container. So I'm going to create one container. Now to create a container, we have to just give class equals to container. So it will create one container which is very similar to your div tag. So once you have created the container, now this container is divided into rows. So it is divided into rows. Now if you wanted to create a row, you have to take a div and you have to say class name equals to one, class name equals to row. So that div is creates one row. In the same way, if you wanted to create one more row, just take one more div and give the class equals to one more row. Fine. So this is how you can create a rows in the Bootstrap. Now this row is divided into 12 equal parts. Divided into 12 equal parts. So this is the one part. This is the two part. Like this, it is created into 12 parts, or it is divided into 12 parts, and this part we call as column. So this is our web page, which is a green color, and this red color is our content. This is our div, and we are making this div as a container by just giving class name equals to container. Now this is a div. Now inside I wanted to create a row. So take a div and just give class name equals to row. The way we have created the card. In the same way, if next to row, if wanted to create, give one more div and class name equals to row. Okay, fine. You have created the row. Now this row has been divided into 12 equal columns. This is the first column, this is the second column, third column, fourth column, like this complete row is divided into 12 columns, right? Now one row have 12 columns. So how we are going to represent? Now if you want to create a container, just you have to give class name equals to container. Okay. Now in the same way, if you want to create a row, you have to give just class name equals to row. If you wanted to create a column, just you have to give class name equals to col. Then you have to give something sm, md, something like that. Sm represents small, md represent medium, lg represent large, and this sm md is nothing but your screen size. According to screen, it is going to adjust, right? From then hyphen, then you have to tell this particular div going to take how many parts of the column. If I want this 2-part column as a one div, so just give 2. Now if you give 4, then that div is going to take the space of 4 columns. One row, in one row, each column is divided into 12 parts. Now this thing you guys have to understand. Okay, just remember this concept. So this is going to be very useful for us while creating a cards or so many things. So container, row and column. So let us see how can we do. So let's come to our VS Code. Now I wanted to create a container, right? I wanted to create, now this green is nothing, our web page. Now I want to create this container. So to create a container, just write div, fine. Now to create this div as a container, we have to give class equals to container. That's it. A container is created. Now if you want to give some background color, right, so you can give something like bg primary. Now we are going to understand about this bg primary, all that. These are predefined names to give up some set of colors. So as of now, bg is nothing but background. Bg primary, it is going to give some color. So let us see which color is going to come. So car open. So now we are not going to get any kind of color, because let me see, we are making any mistake. Bg primary. Okay, fine. So let's see. Now suppose I wanted to create a row, div equals to this class should be row. A class equals to row. Fine. Now in this row, this row is divided into 2 equal columns, right? So I wanted to create a column which should, I wanted to create a div which should take the space of 4 columns. So how can we say? It's very simple. Just say column call sm4. Now it means one column is going to create, means one div is going to create, which is going to take the space of 4 columns, because one row is divided into 12 parts. Now this div is going to take 4 part space. Now in this 4 part space, I want to create a card. Now to create a card in Bootstrap, we have a class called card. So this div should be card. So for that, we have a class equals to card. And this is a predefined name of the class which is given by your Bootstrap. Now this card is divided into 3 parts: header, body and footer. So for that, again we have div. Now this should be your card header, right? So for that, we have to say class equals to card header. Now let me give some bg color, bg dark. Okay, fine. I'm gonna save it. In the same way, for this div also, let me give some color as bg secondary. Okay, fine. Now here I'm gonna say something like p some lorem 10. Save it. Now this is the card, right? See, now we got this background color because of this container, right? Now bg primary is going to give this color, whereas your bg secondary is going to give this kind of color, right? Now in the you have created some heading. So here I wanted to create one h2 tag, and I'm gonna say employee details. Done. In the same way, I wanted to create one more div, and whose class should be body, card body. Now here I want to give one image. So image src equals to something like images, and we are going to say some Canada. And here I'm going to say class equals to image fluid. Just save it. Okay. Now in the same way, I wanted to create one footer as well. So div. So to create a footer, we have the class called card footer. So now you guys understood why I have took these classes in CSS, just to get habituated with the class names. And these class names are provided by your Bootstrap people. So here I'm gonna say something like p lorem equals to something like 30 tab. Now just save it, comes to your browser, now refresh it. Now this is your card. Now it is not looking good, right? Now the we cannot see the text. Now this text should be in the white. So for that they gave some additional color. I mean, they gave an additional class called text white. So I'm applying this text white to the card. So this is our card. So I'm gonna say text white. Now save it. Now we wanted to give width. We wanted to give some height for this image. Height will be something equals to 100. So let's see how it is going to look like. Now this is the image. Now this is our card. But now this is not looking as great as what we wanted to understand, right? Here in this session, just I wanted to make sure that you guys know, okay, now if I wanted to create a card, if I choose CSS, then I have to write hell of so much code, right? And I have to think about so many parameters, like header should be how much percentage, what color, text should come in the middle. So many things you have to remember, and you have to write so many things, right? In the same way, if you use Bootstrap, you have to write just this many lines, right? Now just consider to create a card. Now if I say in the container text center, come here, now just refresh. Now text got centered. Without Bootstrap, just see how much lines of code you guys have wrote from the line 1 to line 58. And when it comes to Bootstrap, line 61 to 88. Now how much difference of code is there, right? But Bootstrap is going to give you so many flexibility to create your card. So here we are not concentrating on designing. Here just I wanted to tell, okay, now this is what difficulty we get when we go for CSS, and we have to think a lot of parameters. That when we comes to our Bootstrap, how much convenient it is, right? Now just to create a card, we have to write this many properties to create just one card, right? That in Bootstrap you require just class equals to card. That's it, a card has been created. Now this thing, now in next session we are going to understand how can we create some vertical cards, how can we create some beautiful cards, how can we display some cards in horizontal. Okay, so today's concept is very important. Here you guys, you might understand what is the importance of your Bootstrap, and it will be very helpful for the your responsiveness also means, for example, you created one card, right? Now this card you wanted to open in the mobile, it should look exactly what it is looking in your web as well. So that's what we call the responsive. So that responsive will be important for us. Okay, so that's the point why we go for the bootstrap. So that's all for this session, guys. And this what, so card concept is not finished, it's just introduction. Just we have finished some 20% of the card concept. We are going to understand so many things in the card, so that we will be seeing in the next session. How can we create some fancy cards, how can we create some cards in horizontal, in the vertical way, all that. And for that you guys have to remember this concept as well. This is a container, a row and column. This will be very important, because now from now if you wanted to create project, we will be using this concept mainly. Okay, so I just wanted to introduce the bootstrap here once again. And due to some urgent deadlines, we thought to stop the classes for a few days, but later on we decided that we are not going to stop, but instead of that, from now the classes will be alternate days. Means now today we have had the class, right? Now tomorrow we don't have the class will be next day. In the same way it will be alternate, and there will be no holiday like Saturday, Sunday. Now it will continue alternate days for up to the end of this month, I think, because we have the deadline, some deadlines. So that's why I'm not getting the time. So we thought we are going to continue all the things in depth. We are not going to compromise with the quantity or a quality. So whatever I have the knowledge, I'm going to give you guys, right? So but it will take little time, it's okay, no problem, because we require quality. So for that purpose we have decided the sessions will be just alternate for few days, or might be up to the end of this month. Once we are free, then we will be continuing every day. So that's the thing, guys. So we just started the bootstrap, and the people who are new to our channel, don't forget to subscribe, and we are going to provide a lot of content. And if you wanted to check HTML and CSS sessions, the recordings are present in the playlist. You guys can go and check it. So today just I wanted to explain all this, guys. So just remember, tomorrow we don't have the class. The class will be on Thursday. So I think tomorrow is Wednesday. So the class will be on the Thursday at the same time. So don't forget to attend the classes. And guys, just try to practice. Now try to create your own websites by whatever the knowledge you have, right? So that's all, guys. Thank you for watching my video, guys.